everybody, Rachel K. Collier here. In today's video, we're going to be looking at an in-depth production breakdown for my brand new track, Don't Know What, which I produced as part of the 4 Producers One Sample Challenge over on Andrew Huang's channel. This was a collaboration with TrackLib. Let's dive in and let me show you how I made it. So the first thing I did before I even opened Ableton Live was decided that I would need to separate out my vocal and instrumental if I wanted any hope of reharmonization. And I used this lovely little site, Acapella Extractor, did the job, great stuff. Then in Ableton Live session view, I had a lot of fun chopping out what I thought were the coolest phrases from the track. I really love playing with the half original tempo and double the original tempo in the clip view settings. This helped me to get like different timings for the cool phrases of this vocal. Then I ran the vocal through the Max for Live buffer shuffler and got some other funky things like this. When I was feeling good about these cheeky little vocal loops, that's when I decided it was time to reharmonize, and I did this with my Roland Boutique SEO2 synth, just with some bass notes. I thought this was cool for one section, but I wanted to dive more now into the instrumental and see if I could make some more textures, do some more sound design for some other sections in the track. That's when I grabbed the microcosm and started running the whole instrumental through the glitch section on this pedal. I did it for absolutely ages and got some wild little textures. I went through all of the recordings and found some cool little hooks in these. Which with a whole lot of processing later, I ended up using for the first verse in the track. Continuing on my quest to make as many textures as possible from the sample, I then jumped in with Ableton Sampler using a little bit of Ovox, Shaperbox 2, a little bit of EQ. I made a pretty cool pad from the vocal from the track, which sounded like this. And then with my reharmonization, so after playing around in session view with my different chops and ideas, I started to add a little bit of drums from XO and decided that the slow moving bass line wasn't quite right for the funkiness of the vocal chops. So I kept the harmony the same patch, but I added a little bit of LFO with the SEO2. And made a funkier bass line instead. I used more of XO to fill out the groove. Percussion. And then with my SEO2 bass, with actually a tuning plugin from Slate Audio, I really like the doubling effect on this plugin. I got the bare bones of my drop sounding a little bit like this. I played around for ages in session view then, experimenting with structure. Verse 1, breakdown, B section. I definitely ditched that bass line by the end, and then my drop. And now time for a quick commercial break. If you're interested in learning Ableton Live, then head to Merry Spender U to check out my 2 courses, How to Produce and How to Perform with Ableton Live. We've got a Discord community for you and all your fellow students. Hope to see you there. So with my rough instrumental structure, this is when I decided it was time to go in on that vocal top line and really carve out the song structure. I spent absolutely ages on retiming the sample verse, warping like crazy just over here with the warp markers in Ableton, just to try to get it to sit really well. And then I processed it a lot, tuned it, EQ'd it. I even did a little sidechain compression from a snare just to make it sound a bit more modern. I used Soothe to de-harsh the overall texture. This is how the new vocal rhythm sounded after hours of knob twiddling.
Take a ring from your finger. Don't know what you're doing. Don't know what you're doing to yourself.
To beef up that lead vocal line and also to add a little bit more colour, in a couple of places I added some RKC BVs.
Oh baby, oh baby, oh baby.
And here as well.
What you doing to ya? You don't know what you're doing to ya.
And in the mix it sounds like this. I then used as many vocal textures and chops as possible to actually make up some of the synth sounds of the song. So things like this, just repeating a note. Adding this brilliant little stereoizing plugin, Avox Choir. Really makes it sit in this interesting space in the song. And then I made another little chipmunky vox chop, which was just using Ableton Simpler's slice mode, pitched the sample up 12 semitones and added some Ovox. This is it without. So 2 steps to chipmunk, slice mode, 12 semitones, Ovox. As I got further into the production, I was really desperate for some more male vocal sounds that I could work with and experiment with. So I recorded my friend Billy and got a cheeky little ad-lib. And also some reversed reverb swells. And compared to a usual RKC production, you can see here there is a very small amount of synth work, and that is because I actually used so much of the vocal and the vocal sample, and that took up and occupied all of the frequency spaces where my synths would usually sit. The synths I did add were very sparkly, pretty little things. I used Arturia pigments to create some in the background drone kind of things. I used my Juno, this little patch from Bank 4 preset 1. I thought sounded really nice with my vocal synth. I also added a cheeky little bit of my Telecaster guitar that you can see over there. I've been having lessons for 1 year now. Shout out to my teacher Izzy. So here it is without the processing. Processing, a little bit of EQ, Avox Choir, overdrive, filter in the mix. Then diving into my drums, this is where I separated out all the audio from my EXO kits so I could process things individually, give each part some love. Also added some toms from Addictive Drums. Froze and flattened them because my computer was exploding. Added the percussion in. And then finally, if we check out my bass group, you can see I've got the original little SEO2 line that I recorded. I actually quantized this up a little bit and made it a little bit neater. I doubled it up as well with another higher octave later on in the song just to give it a bit more impact. And then one of the last things I did, which I really enjoyed doing, was I actually added like a counter melody bass line. I would usually add some kind of more lead sound, but I just thought this sounded really cool. And let's not forget the master effects. I love to do little creative kind of cheeky things in certain sections to just keep the ear interested. I use Shaperbox 2 in a couple of sections for a little bit of extreme panning. The tremolator, that sounds pretty cool. Also, I really like the little plate for doing like some reverb swells. So I got a couple of those going on, and I've got Live's phaser and flanger in a few cheeky places too. So there we have it. There's my production breakdown of Don't Know What. Thanks again to Andrew and TrackLib for having me on the 4 Producers show. If you want to listen to this song, it's streaming everywhere now. And if you want to get your hands on the Ableton set and the Ableton stems, then they are available over on my Patreon page. There's so much going on over on my Patreon page. I've got monthly music making challenges, a whole Discord community, and access to way more Ableton sets and stems, plus in-depth walkthrough and talkthroughs of all my productions. Hope to see you there. And one last thing, if you do want to learn Ableton Live, I've got my Ableton How to Produce and How to Perform courses. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Mwah.